Jiu-Jitsu by day, Energized Show by night.
Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Energized, brought to you by Aura Kings Competitions. Ross,
are you intoxicated or something?
Introduce the guest, man.
Today, we are bringing you the fighting pride of Selbridge. He is the eternal fighting championship welterweight champion. It's the one and only. It's the juggernaut. It's Stephen Costello. Stephen, how are you doing, my friend?
What's up? How's it going, lads? How are you?
Great to have you on, man. Great to have you on. Welcome to the show.
Good to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen, tell us this. Obviously, massive fight going down in Australia. Fighting with Eternal FC. You're obviously now, you were handed the championship via forfeit, I would call it, last time out. Tell us, what actually happened the last time out when your opponent failed to make weight? Like, how gut-wrenching was that you went the whole way to Australia just for the fight not to happen?
Yeah, I was sick, but like a good thing has come from it, so that's kind of kept me in good spirits and stuff. The fight was originally to be for an interim title, so the winner would have went on to fight the champion. So that was always going to be after. So that's why it wasn't the worst situation for me. And while I was over there, I made some great contacts, met some great people. So it's all led to good things. If potential sponsors coming out of it, all this kind of stuff like so. But the opponent, he showed up weigh-in day. He was a little late, which I was a little concerned about. But when I seen him, I was like, all right, grand, the fight's going ahead. Then I got called out by our man, Ben Vickers, who runs the show. I said no, they're getting second photos of someone, so I thought it was going to be, oh, here, would they just take the photos again? But then he said the opponent missed weight. But he missed weight by 4 kilos. And everybody told me that he's always made weight and he is always late for the scales. So, and Ben also said he was struggling on the scales. Like, how can you be struggling with 4 kilos to go? So, I mean, fair enough, with half a kilo, you could be struggling. Like, I understand that. So, I think he bitched out and he didn't want to make the weight and have a fair fight against me. He thought I'd take the fight while I'm on the other side of the world and give him the advantage, which I didn't do.
Yeah, Stephen, just another question on that. Was Alden Bates, does he live in Australia?
Yeah, he's a local lad in Perth. I went over to fight him in his backyard. He's known as the biggest, baddest welterweight in the division. And now I'm fighting the smallest, most dangerous welterweight in the division.
Dave, that was the thing.
Yeah, but that was the thing. We weren't too sure because obviously he flies the Great British flag, so we weren't too sure if he flew over as well. Because like missing that by that amount of weight, Ross, that's not professional.
Yeah, well, like to give it in terms of pounds, because like not everyone kilos, it's about 8 or 9 pounds. So like that's a lot. Like he's basically the next division up, effectively. That's where he's at. Like he's closer to the middleweight weight limit than he is the welterweight weight limit. So like that's shocking. It's like very, very unprofessional, and like obviously he missed a massive opportunity by not being able to fight for the interim title and then getting a chance to then fight for the actual title. And look, his loss is your gain. But I suppose just on that, Stephen, like obviously it's never ideal if your opponent misses weight, but for most fighters or for yourself, like what's sort of the cutoff? Like if you weighed 172 pounds on the scales, would you been like, all right, grand, I'll fight him? What sort of or would you sort of have to get a look at him and be like, right, he died to make 172, that's fine, I'll fight him?
Well, like I got with kilos all the time, like so 77 kilos. It held up at 78 kilos. I'm like, grand, let's go. It's only a kilo, whatever. But 4 kilos, like you said, he's a middleweight. Yeah. And I'm a welterweight that day. So yeah. And to prove that he did try pull a tricky or fast one is he didn't even ring the lads from the promotion to let them know, give them a heads up, nothing like that. So he was trying to pull a fast one, and it didn't pay off. So stick there. And
then we did see the two of us had words just after the weigh-ins. Was that? Did you feel like that was him trying to goad you into taking the fight?
No, not really. No, because during the ceremonial weigh-in, everybody's eyes were on the weigh-in, and he was up in the back, kind of trying to hide. But he looked grand. He looks fresh. He wasn't even trying to get any minerals back in, and I'm struggling getting the liquids back in and everything. And he's just standing there with his arms folded, watching the show. So like that really got to me. I was like, you little cheeky. Okay. So, and then he started trying to call me over, and I was like, are you serious? Like, trying to be my buddy or something? But then a moment happened. We crisscrossed each other, and he said something to me, and then I just kind of snapped. I was just like, you're trying to melt off to me now. Like, you won't meet me in a cage and do this. Like,
yeah. Well, in fairness, you did come the whole way from Ireland to Australia. Like, it's not like you're down the road. You know, like, every right to be frustrated.
Yeah.
But look, I just want to say there, look, will I have the lads in the Eternal promotion. That's so cool. They really looked after me. Like, during the whole process leading up to that fight, with the situation that happened, they really looked after me. And then even after, when I came home, they sent me the belts. They're looking after me now. Like, the two lads, Cam O'Neill and Ben Vickers, are the absolute legends. And I have utmost respect for the two of them men. So just.
Steve, can you let us know, how did this opportunity come about? Because obviously, like, you've previously fought in Bellator. You're also the 5-1 welterweight champion. You fought in Centurion. There was another one. Was it UFL?
Combate Global as well.
Combate Global as well. So, like, how did the Eternal opportunity come about?
Eternal. John Mitchell is the man that got the ball rolling with this. He's often sent me a few fighters. It's kind of clashed with what I had going on. And then the Australia one came up, and I just said yeah straight away. Like, a fight in Australia, an interim belt, leading into another fight, UFC fight pass. Like, I just jumped on it. I said yeah straight away.
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify, is that Cork John Mitchell?
Yeah, John Mitchell. Yeah,
Jesus, fight manager John Mitchell, getting the lads all the scraps.
Yeah, he must be good contact. He's in the middle of everyone, so I guess he gets a lot of fights sent to him.
Happy days, fair play.
Yeah, I wouldn't have this opportunity without John. So I wish him. Yeah, you know the crack.
Yeah, exactly. And no, but the thing is that, yeah, because that, like, when we heard you were fighting for the Eternal Championship and you had to fly over from Ireland to Australia, that doesn't happen very often. Like, I know the likes of Alan Philpott competes in that card as well. But Ross, it was a cool opportunity to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think we sort of said this before with a few fighters have fought in NFL recently, and like, when you go and fight in this Eternal card and you're main event fighting for the belt or defending your belt now, like, if you're the only Irish fighter on the card, it's going to force a lot of Irish MMA fans to then tune in, because they're like, all right, well, like, he's the only one on the card, so better watch. You know what I mean? As opposed to sometimes in like past Bellator cards and like sometimes in Cage Warriors cards, sometimes you could be one of like 9 Irish fighters fighting, and you don't get as much of the spotlight as opposed to here. Like this, we're talking about it off air, but like, this is almost like your rugby career, Steve. You know what I mean? Like, bounce around the promotions, but you've now found a home in Eternal.
Yeah. One thing, Alan's on this card.
Yeah,
is he? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I think LFL, we were saying recently, I think that Georgie Grozov and Tiernan Lochran on it. You know what I mean? So 1 or 2 Irish lads brings a lot of eyes in there.
Yeah, and I was only chatting to Alan the other day. Like, I could be making history here. Alan was just short of becoming the first Eternal Irish champion there back during the summer, and now I have the chance to be the first Irish Eternal champion by actually defeating someone, not getting the belt handed to me.
Exactly.
What was it? Jose Aldo and Ronda Rousey? They were given the UFC titles, weren't they?
Yeah,
when they came over for the WEC. So
it does, like, I feel the belt. I'm looking at the belt here now. It hasn't really meant anything to me yet, but it's been some serious motivation looking at it daily and knowing what's ahead and what the task is. So I'm happy to have it.
And that's why you have to tune in to watch Stephen Costello compete on February the 8th at Eternal 92 against David Martinez, live on UFC Fight Pass. Stephen, can you tell us what you know exactly about David Martinez?
I've been doing a little bit of research on him, a little bit of study, the video, the typical stuff, get to know the enemy. He's 14-6, so he's a 20-fight veteran. He's currently ranked number 1 as the welterweight in Australia. He's been 2 times lightweight champion before, so it's a good scalp for me. And it's going to be. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He he's over his whole 20 fights, he hasn't really changed his style. So I know exactly what I'm expecting with this fight, and I feel it's going to show a good display of my martial arts skills all around with this opponent. The last.
I was doing a bit of looking up as well there. Sorry, didn't mean to cut across there, Stephen. But like, he's had 14 fights in Eternal. He must be one of the most tenured Eternal fighting championship fighters there is, if not the most tenured.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I well believe it. Yeah, he's on the scene a long time. The lads like him, so it's a good matchup.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I suppose like with him being the most tenured, probably means he has a good fan base over there. So he's going to bring a lot of eyes over there as well. So like, great opportunity for you to go in there and upset the apple cart for the Aussie fans and go over there. But touch on that also. Obviously, there's a lot of Irish over in Australia. Do you feel like a large Irish contingent will show out for the fight over there?
I've been in contact with some friends that I have over there, and they're saying they're all going. And then I'm just going to make a little post while I'm over there, and I get chatting to people while I'm over there. If I bump into some Irish people, like, here, come support me. It's kind of how it works. Self-promote myself while I'm over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a bother to you.
Yeah. Have you thought about like have you talked to the people in charge of Eternal, and have they talked about like, look, we want you to like potentially move over to Australia to be the face of the organization, let alone the division?
Yeah, well, step by step, the whole GFL thing kind of nearly shut everything down for me. If I had signed that contract, this would have been void. I wouldn't have had this fight going. So I'm very glad I didn't sign the GFL contract. And now, like you said, if I become the champion, I could probably end up having a future living on the Golden Coast in the sun if I keep winning on Eternal. So.
Yeah, can you go into more detail about that GFL situation? Because we saw you put a post out on Instagram saying that you hadn't signed with the organization. And can you just let us know and the people tuning in exactly what was going on there?
I got a contract last year before my last fight, just before my last fight, that I didn't fight. But I kind of said I'll hold off signing it just in case something like this happened, contract obligation. So I'm kind of glad. I'm glad I'd never signed it. But what happened there is someone obviously didn't check the paperwork. They sent me a contract, obviously thought, oh, we have him. And I never signed the contract. And I'm very happy I didn't at this stage.
Yeah, like obviously that upset the Eternal guys and like it upset you. But like, does that make you cautious of ever doing anything with them in the future? Like, would that make you rule them out? Because you know, them doing that like almost cost you a paycheck type of thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, after seeing how many people that sign, and I don't understand, and the money that was offered in the contract, I don't know how it's going to work, to be honest. So, like, I'm very glad I have Eternal there as my forward progression in my career. Like, I'd be absolutely sick now if I signed that contract and I'm waiting around on a GFL fight when every retired fighter in the world nearly is.
Yeah, big time. It's a very strange model, and like until I see GFL 1 or whatever they're going to call their first event, like I'd be very wary to box myself off and like hold up my fight career to wait for them. I think it's definitely something that I'd be very wary of. And like you say, it seems to be a retirement home, one might say. You know what I mean? Like, I think I saw Frank Mir, Fabricio Verdum, Tony Ferguson.
Tony.
Like, you know what I mean? Anyone who's fought in the last 10 years who's no longer fighting, GFL have signed. Or they've made up they've signed. Because I don't think you're the first fighter to have come out and say, I actually haven't signed with the GFL. It's like people are sending out wedding invites and then they don't get the RSVPs and they send them out to, you know, whoever they want. They send out the RSVPs to GSP and Anderson Silva and go, oh, well, invited to the wedding, so they're definitely coming.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
They're getting their name out there, though, in fairness, by doing this. So,
look, it'd be cool if, like, you know, they set up a promotion and things go well for them, and like, you know, what I mean, I'm always hopeful for more promotions that are doing a few bits, but look, we'll see how that goes. But obviously, GFL are on UFC Fight Pass, or sorry, not GFL. What am I talking about? Eternal are on UFC Fight Pass, and obviously with being on UFC Fight Pass, there's always that road to the UFC. Is that the goal here, Stephen? Is that, like, obviously you fought for a number of promotions, but is your main goal to fight in the UFC?
Well, Of course, yeah, it would be like, but like, I'm very happy to have Eternal there, and if I become that champion, they want me back to defend the title.
Of course.
If I lose the title, they want me back. Like, so they're kind of already promising me that they'll keep me around. But
yeah, definitely.
The owner, Cam, his daughter is in the UFC. He has another daughter that's fighting on Eternal as well. So like, he obviously knows if the UFC comes, he'll respect it and be like, well, there's another fighter through Eternal, and now he's on the UFC. Like, so, like, it will benefit
as the Australian Cage Warriors.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, and of course, I would like to get to the UFC, and I have this taste in it. I got the fight to one belt. I have the Eternal belt, and then who knows, maybe a UFC belt could possibly be on the lines. I kind of have hunger for belts now. I never had that before.
The strap collector.
Yeah, it's nice. I never had that. The belt in the fight to one was a real motivator for me to go train, and I want that belt. When I seen the belt, I was like, I want that belt. So I never really had that before, and it's a nice fire to have in your belly when you're going to fight a man in the cage.
Yeah, was there another opportunity to actually defend the fight to one championship? Because
no, nothing's popped up yet. I sent a message once saying, "Have you got a matchup for me?" And he says, "No, not yet." So,
okay.
Yeah, I think they did like a co-promotion with like Brave or something last time out as well. Yeah. So I don't know what's happening with that one.
Well, yeah.
No, definitely. So, Stephen, tell us this. Obviously, the trip to Australia is not a short one. Who are you bringing over with you?
I'm bringing over one of my good buds, Connor Devlin. He's the perfect partner for this opponent as well. Same height, same build. He can practice. I can practice the game plan with him a lot because he kind of fights like him as well. He's an amateur fighter, but
he'll mimic him for you.
Yeah, perfect dummy for me to have to beat up for.
No, class, and he'll do your corner over there, will he?
Well, I'm going to have him in my corner, and John Kavanagh has put me on to two good lads over there as well. So they're going to take me under their wing and help me with everything.
Happy days. Now, just good to know you're traveling with someone who knows you well, and just to keep it. Obviously, half the battle's the weight cut as well. You know what I mean? You need someone there to throw you in now that's on, or the bath, whichever way you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But look, Steve,
barking at them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But look, we're very much looking forward to it. I think maybe you know, we'll definitely promote this fight quite a bit in the build-up because we don't want it to go under the radar. I mean, you're fighting for a big title down in Eternal. It's a great promotion, as you said. You know, I think that they've done well over 50 events at this stage.
This is 92.
Yeah, 92. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say 80, but then I was like, I wasn't too sure it was 62 or 92. But yeah, these boys know exactly what they're doing, and we've watched the shows before because we've seen Alan Philpott fighting them before. So definitely looking forward to. You're going to smash it out of the park, and you're going to win your own belt. I think I don't think I've ever seen someone in that scenario before. So you're going to win your own belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Stephen, just before we let you get back to the rest of your day, can you let us know for the people, let us know and the people tuning in now, like for 2025, like what are your plans for the rest of the year?
Be as active as possible in the contract. I could be back in June in Perth when I win this fight. So that's the next one probably lined up, and then I don't know what will be after June, but I would like to be as busy as I can be this year. I'm healthy. I'm in my prime. I'm ready. My confidence is at the highest it's ever been. I trust my skill set. This could be my best year, and I'm really looking forward to what's ahead.
Absolutely unreal. So make sure to tune in and watch Stephen Costello compete at Eternal 92 on February 8th, live on UFC Fight Pass. Stephen, thank you very much for your time. Best of skill on February 8th, and we'll let you get on with the rest of your day, bud.
Thank you, lads.
Jiu-Jitsu by day, Energized Show by night.
So, Ross, that was Stephen Costello,
the Eternal MMA welterweight world champion,
the one and only.
Yeah, the juggernaut. Can't wait to see him back in action. I think long overdue, obviously, with that last fight being cancelled. So best luck to Stephen, and best luck to Alan Philpott as well, who's fighting on the card. Alan Philpott, absolute veteran, 35 plus fights on his record.
Is there anyone else you'd like to see get on a Eternal card in the future as well?
It's sort of strange because I feel like the landscape at the moment, we have like a lot of people who just sort of turn pro, as opposed to the more experienced pros are also, or not even the more experienced, but the guys who are sort of 3, 4, 5 fights into their career are sort of already signed to a promotion, or thereabouts. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange one because like it's like, do I want to see someone go to Australia and do it? Like, it's not something that I'd like definitely recommend, but it's like definitely a well-run show, and it's definitely an alternative route. And I think like it suits Stephen Costello, like, and I think it's doing wonders for him. But like, do I think like fighting on Eternal is like that much better than fighting on an LFL? Not particularly. But again, like being one of the few people to do it definitely puts the eyes on you.
Definitely, yeah. Also, like if you're cutting weighting on that flight, that'll be a bit of a pain. So maybe if any heavyweights out there, do the heavyweight.
Yeah, but also if like maybe some of the younger fighters were doing like a bit of training out in Bangtao or something like that, and they were there for like 3 months or whatever, and the opportunity on Eternal popped up, I think like that would be the perfect storm. If that makes sense. But yeah, like again, like definitely would not recommend it. Just don't know, like I'm going to start recommending you travel halfway across the world for a fight.
Well, that's why Stephen Costello and Alan Philpott are going to be competing at Eternal on the 8th of February, and we'll be keeping you updated on that event. So if you are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe and tell a friend, because we are here every week. But Ross, we have to get into the action that just happened over the weekend. Bellator had their final show in Dubai, and Paul Hughes was in the main event against Usman Nurmagomedov. It went to decision, and the winner was Usman Nurmagomedov. Ross, what did you make of this fight?
I think this is one of the best fights under the PFL Bellator banner that we've seen. Like, it was right up there with the McGrillen fight. I think it was absolutely insane. I thought Paul Hughes really became the star that he has proclaimed himself to be in this show. And I think obviously he went out against AJ McKee, and people were like, right, this guy is uber talented. And then obviously going in there against Nurmagomedov, 17-0. Nurmagomedov has beaten everyone fairly handily, to be honest. Like, I think a lot of his like decision wins are sort of 50-45s across the board. And then Paul Hughes went in there and he stuck it on him. He definitely landed the better shots out of the two, and the heavier shots. I think he stunned Nurmagomedov at certain times. In the second round, he did that sort of jumping teep kick, and like that sent him back down his ass. So like, I think like these sort of things like that we saw, we haven't seen that done to Nurmagomedov before. And yeah, Paul Hughes is the real deal. He really, really is. And I think I suppose for the casual fans, like if you were to like rank Paul Hughes in like the UFC rankings, because like that's sort of the litmus test, I would say. Like, put it this way, Dan Hooker is ranked 6 in the UFC. If Paul Hughes fought Dan Hooker tomorrow, I'd favor Paul Hughes to win. What are your thoughts on that statement, Basman?
I'd agree after that performance over the weekend. Looking at the world rankings on Tapology beforehand, Paul was ranked like, I think they said 56th, and Usman was ranked like 26th. Now that's obviously changed, but I think Paul.
Harsh,
yeah, well, I was just seeing just to be because I was trying to look at like who the Usman fought before, because in the build up, the way the fight was promoted, this was the fight that they're really, really pushing, and they're actually pushing Paul more. I know they used Khabib clips, but Paul was the guy that PFL, aka Bellator, aka Bellator, they wanted Paul to win. I feel like the company really wanted Paul to win there, and of course we did as well. So like that suits us. But I was like looking at the rankings, at the way like Usman was saying, like, who are you? Like, you're a nobody. The amount of people that traveled over, the way there was a bit of a scuffle at the weigh-ins, the way like watching the fight, the way Usman kicked Paul in the balls 3 times, and then I think Paul got Usman with one kick in the balls back. Like Usman said after the fight, the way he took Paul lightly, I thought you just can't really take Paul Hughes lightly. Like he's like I know many fighters have dedicated their whole lives to this, but the way Paul carries himself, the way he believes in himself, it's elite.
Yeah, absolutely, it is elite, and like I think throughout the fight, like we saw when like Usman went down to take his break, from I think was there was a headbutt I think in there at some stage as well.
Yeah, I think that was like the 4th round.
Yeah, and like Paul Hughes is there like licking the blood off his gloves, calling on Usman, hyping up the crowd. Like he showed he is the ultimate showman in there. I don't think there's a fighter on this planet who like would excite you more inside the octagon than Paul Hughes. I think at the moment, like he's must-see TV in there. His fights are absolutely unmissable, and I actually think like when I was watching the fight, I thought Usman won round 1. I thought Paul Hughes won round 2, and I felt like rounds 3 and 4 were like really close, and like I was sort of edging them towards Paul. I felt like Usman needed to pull something out of the bag in the 5th, and even the 5th round, even the way it finished with like Paul Hughes like peppering him up against the cage. I just couldn't believe that 2 of the judges said Paul Hughes won 1 round out of those 4. I just think
you didn't add in the point taken away.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was getting at. The 48-46. It means that they basically the 2 of the judges said that Paul Hughes won 1 round out of the 5 rounds. I just don't buy that for a second. One of the judges said Paul Hughes won 2 rounds and Usman won 3. Look, the rounds are close enough that like if that's the way the judges went, like I wouldn't claim robbery as much. But at the end of the day, if you're telling me Paul Hughes won 1 of those 5 rounds, I just don't believe that for a second.
I think going into the last round, it was sort of like 2 rounds each, and then Usman had a point taken away from him as well. Yeah. So, and then in the final round, I thought Paul won. Even the way at the end of the 3rd round, Usman had his head down, and Paul was like had his posture up. Like it felt like Paul was really breaking him down. Like, and then at the end, the way Usman sort of had his arm around Paul, being like, "Geez, it looked like he was like, oh man, I got real lucky there, didn't I, Paul?" Sort of thing.
Big time, and like the body language sort of spelled to say that Usman thought Paul Hughes won.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
The thing is, if that fight was actually on in Belfast, I think Paul would have won it as well.
Well, like not to get too pedantic about it, right? Like Sal Diamato, who scored basically 49-46 with a punt deduction to Hughes, only gave Paul Hughes round number 4, right? The judge who then scored a draw also scored a 49-46 the point deduction, only gave Paul Hughes round 5, right? And then the judge who scored a draw actually gave Paul Hughes round 2 and round 4. So 3 different judges gave Paul Hughes 3 different rounds. So like the judging, like obviously it was a very, very close fight. The only round that was like unanimous that Paul Hughes lost was rounds 1 and then round 3. And then the other, like across the judges, they each said, one of the judges said he won round 2, 4, and 5. So that just goes to show you how like non-linear the judges were, you know?
Yeah. Well, the fight did seem quite close as well. It's not as if Paul blew him out of the water. But I did feel at the end that Paul won it. I'm not being biased. I wasn't wearing the Energized glasses for that fight. Every other fight I was, but I took them off for that one.
I think it was a rough one to swallow. But I suppose just for transparency as well, if you go onto MMAdecisions.com, you'll see some of the MMA media people give it, and I can see 5 gave it to Nurmagomedov, the 48-46, and then 3 gave it a draw. Look, I think the draw is sort of acceptable. I don't think Usman won 4 rounds. That's just my take on it. It'd be hard to convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
But look, it is what it is. Look, Paul Hughes' stock has now gone through the roof. Like, he is absolutely must see. He is someone who, like, people are dying to see him back out there. And I suppose the next question is always, what will they do next, Baz? I feel like, how can PFL not make the rematch? Like, show me the fight in the lightweight division that people want to see, because I don't think it's there.
Well, we're going to have to come up with a few options, because I saw a post-fight that Usman was saying that he wants Paul to fight three or four times before he gets another title shot. And the thing is, right?
That sounds a bit scaredy cat in my books.
100%. But the thing is, like, what other options are there? I know you just asked me that, but like, try and come up with a few names while I sort of explain this. Like, Usman is the champion, right? And Paul fought twice before under the banner, and then fought for the title. And now Usman saying, like, he has Ramadan coming up and he doesn't want to fight again till the summer or the end of the year when they go back to Dubai. And like, what he said actually sort of made sense, because, like, say if Paul was the champion and then Usman fought to that, and then like does Paul deserve a rematch straight away? I don't know, but of course I want to see a rematch straight away. But is that fair on the rest of the division?
Well, like, I don't think anyone else particularly puts their hand up. Like, obviously AJ McKee would have been the next best contender, and obviously Paul Hughes beat him quite soundly. So, like, look, I do think that Paul's next fight should be in Belfast. I feel like he has that stardom about him now. So if Usman's going to be out for a while, you could run it back with potentially AJ McKee and, like, have that as the main event. I think obviously that would do major numbers.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, right? Sorry for interrupting. That's the end of Bellator now. So, like, that title is basically obsolete.
Well, I think they should just hand Usman Nurmagomedov the PFL lightweight title. And
do you think
let that be that?
Aren't they doing like a tournament now? So wouldn't he be like the lightweight champion? And they're doing a tournament, so maybe that tournament has to go through, and then the winner fights Usman next. I think that's what they're sort of going to be trying to do.
You know what? It's actually very hard to tell what they're exactly trying to do, because at the end of the day, I actually think the tournament format to me is a bit dead, if I'm honest. Like, the last person to win the lightweight was Oben Mercier. And I don't think people are going to be screaming for Oben Mercier versus Usman Nurmagomedov. But if that's what they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. And, like, you call that the new PFL champion. Brent Primus is there as well. He lost his last fight in the PFL or Bellator, whichever way you want to call it, against Rabadanov, I think his name was. But again, like, Rabadanov, obviously great record, 2024, but or 24-4, I think maybe. But, like, at the end of the day, like, Hughes versus Rabadanov is not something that's gonna really sell numbers. I actually think that was the 2024 lightweight championship against Primus. So, like, does he fight Usman Nurmagomedov next? Like, what, you do that in Dubai next, maybe? Like, obviously, if you're doing like a Russia versus Russia or Dagestan versus Russia, whatever, maybe Dubai is the best place for that. But at the end of the day, PFL want to start taking themselves serious and have big fights the same way. Like, put it this way, if UFC was on that weekend and PFL, like, we're still getting a lot of traction. A lot of the time, UFC and PFL are on, PFL gets left in the dust. That Nurmagomedov Hughes fight garnered an awful lot of traction. Yeah. And I would say that is the most amount of traction I've seen for a PFL fight that doesn't involve Francis Ngannou of all time.
Yeah, I think the way I was sort of trying to, like, earlier on, I was like, where does Paul sort of rank now with PFL? Because I think Paul's a bigger star than Usman. Now that might be biased towards the European side.
He's probably the largest star. I would put him on, like, similar level to Brendan Loughnane and Dakota Teixeira. I think they're PFL's three biggest stars on the roster who are, like, actively fighting all the time. I'm not going to count Ngannou, because, like, Ngannou's fought once in 4 years for them.
Yeah, but this is what I'm going to get to. I actually think Paul is now bigger than Brendan Loughnane and Dakota Teixeira.
Potentially, but also, like, there's also a massive amount of recency bias there. It'd be interesting to see, like, I always think, like, that fight was huge, but let's see what happens to the next fight. If that makes sense.
For Paul or
yeah,
for
well, it's sort of all of them, and then you get a better sort of vibe of it. Obviously, when someone comes off like fight of the year, you're gonna feel their stardom at an all-time high. You know.
I know,
So,
but
yeah, but
just
when Dakota won the $1 million, like she felt like a massive star in terms of women's MMA. She felt like maybe the largest women's MMA star.
no, I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying I think Paul is like a gone above, because just based on when Brendan has won his. I know. Well, I'm just putting it out there. I think when Brendan has won his tournaments, I don't think it really went that big. I don't like it. It was sort of briefly discussed, but I don't think it really brought more to
Yeah, but
what was already
also
there.
maybe that was because like he's from the UK and he's not from Ireland. We weren't into it as much, if you know what I mean. Potentially, but no, like very valid point. I'll put it this way: I don't think anyone has ever fought for a belt in PFL or Bellator, lost, and come out with so much upside.
That's the thing as well. Like he's actually, like obviously if he won, it'd be even bigger. But like he's after like
he's basically won the hearts of MMA fans all over the world.
Yeah. That's the thing, you know what I mean? Boy, like like life is weird.
That picture of him like with like the blood streaming down his face and the smirk on his face, like that will go down in MMA history. Like that will never be forgotten. Like that is like one of like the most iconic pictures I've seen. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that won like photograph of the year for 2025. Like that was absolutely insane.
Do you remember you asked what's the most iconic moment from Bellator?
Yeah. Well, now we have it.
Now we have it.
But like Paul Hughes, like as he says, like that man is horny for violence, and like that man, like he should just fight every month. Like people can't get enough of Paul Hughes right now, and like fair play to him. Like he went into the fire, and not only that, like I think he had like one sequence where like he got like ragdolled a bit for about 30 seconds in terms of wrestling, but bar that, his wrestling defense was so spot on. You know what I mean? Yeah. Usman, I think, only like dominated the wrestling like one time, and that was it.
Pat McAllister's shed must be like the Dagestan of Belfast.
Yeah, exactly. They must have gotten a bath together afterwards. But yeah, like what a performance! Like Paul Hughes, like take a bow, my friend, take a bow. That was absolutely insane. And PFL really have something there with them. So I think like the next step for them is to bring a show back, the SSE, because Paul hasn't got to have that moment in the SSE. You know, when Cage Warriors went there, he didn't fight on that card, and like he deserves that crowning moment to come back to a Belfast crowd and be the main event there.
Could they put him in the European tournament?
No, he's too big for that.
Oh no, but they just like I feel like he needs a belt. I feel like they want him to have a belt.
Yeah, but I think he could do like a one-off event. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be any tournament related, or it's the first round of the world tournament, and like they stack it with top European talent. Like maybe Paul is the main event, you know, Dakota's co-main event, and Loughnane is the third last fight. Do it that way, you know what I mean? Or whichever way. Like it's not a lot to ask the UK fans from Manchester to travel to Belfast. Yeah, as I was saying before, I pull the headphones out in excitement. I think that PFL need to come to Belfast, put on a star-studded show, and like with that, like the card can make itself. You can go Paul Hughes main event, Dakota Gacheva co-main event, Bronson Loughnane next fight down. There's a whole host of FAI lads who you could sign for one night only. You also have like your Nathan Kelly, Kenny Mokonowana, Owen Sheridan, etc. Like, you know what I mean? You can really feel the card out. And I think with Paul Hughes in Belfast, it feels like a real headliner. And it feels like that, like, you can really go all in there. And you can bring John Mitchell over from Dubai. You know what I mean? And like, you could have an absolutely star-studded show there. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of people who like haven't signed with promotions. Like someone like a Brian Manning could do good ticket sales up there. Someone like, you know, I know the other half of Cage Conflicts main event, which is an absolute banger, Sean McCormack, he could fight on that card. And there's an absolute bucket load of other people who could fight on those cards. PFL have a massive opportunity here to come to Belfast, put Paul Hughes, give him his flowers, and build an absolute massive card. And it could be the start of a world tour. And I think the world championships that they do, a lot of the times, they're just in America. Why not make the world championships actually something worldwide and take a leap out of GFL's book and bring those couple of shows all around the world? You do the first round maybe in Belfast, then you do the next round maybe in Dubai, and then you do the finals in the States, or whatever way you want to go about it, and do it that way and really make it a global, worldwide thing for fans to follow.
Yeah, and
but you
also
know what? For the first time in a long time, people are excited about the PFL, and it's all down to Paul Hughes.
That's the thing. When Paul signed, the PFL were having none of like other FAI fighters on the roster. It was just Paul Hughes, and that was one of the biggest issues that was going on for a while. Was the fact it was like one gym and one gym only, were really representing the Bellator brand or sort of PFL wise. And now Paul's after doing that, and like everyone knows in Ireland how strong FAI is, and to get more of them fighters on the card, that like would really blow it up. So like PFL have something now as they close that chapter on Bellator, and we are really excited to see what happens next, especially if Irish fighters are involved.
And also, just one last point on that: the amount of fans that travel to watch Paul Hughes fight in Dubai, the only time fans have traveled in their droves that much and in that numbers and made their presence that felt has been for McGregor fight weeks. No other time have I ever seen it. At the weigh-ins, there was a scuffle even between the Irish fans and their Magmeda fans. You would hear on the broadcast, Hughes. You know what I mean? Like, you never hear that anywhere for any Irish fighter outside of Ireland. Paul Hughes
Taylor
brought the fans with him abroad, and like that's incredible to see. Like PFL should really feel like they've really captured something special here with Paul Hughes.
Shout out to Paul Hughes, yeah. So we cannot wait to see what happens next. We are definitely looking forward to it. Because even looking at people's Instagram stories, if they weren't a fan beforehand, they certainly are now. Because
if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, because this is not just fighting; this is entertainment as well. Ross, we're going to have to discuss just briefly on the co-main event. Nemkov defeated Urame.
Timothy Johnson.
Would you like to see Nemkov fight Francis Ngannou next?
Like, yes and no. As in, like, yes, I think that's the best available option on the PFL roster. But, like, it doesn't actually overly excite me, to be honest. Like, if you're trying to sell me a pay-per-view, Ngannou versus Nemkov, it just doesn't really do it for me, to be honest. But I think that's the best available option.
Yeah, same here. And then also,
what if you did? Sorry, just to come back on that. What if you did Ngannou versus Nemkov, and then co-main event Hughes versus Usman? Yeah, that's something people might pay money for.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if they make that fight, but it just seems like that that team doesn't want it.
Yeah, the Nurmagomedov camp does not want that Paul Hughes wrestling.
No, and if I was them, I wouldn't want it straight away either.
Yeah, well, when he hit that switch in the 5th round and he got back up on top, like, I don't think Nurmagomedovs have felt that very often.
No, undefeated as well, man. That's the crazy thing. So Ross, Nathan Kelly was like also lost on the card. After during the first round when he got that elbow and then ran over on top. Like I really thought he was about to finish it. What did you make of Nathan Kelly's performance?
Yeah, I think look, he obviously struggled with the Dagestani wrestling, you know what I mean? Similar to Kenny Mokanawana's performance. But yeah, look, I think it just goes to show how dangerous Nathan Kelly is and how much he has the ability to end a fight at any moment. And I think maybe he just overexert himself that too much in that instant. Did he, you know, see red and see the finish and go for it a little bit too hard? And if he kept his distance a bit more, would the finish have come for him? But look, Magomedov, or I hope that's how you say his name, or Magomed, whichever his name is, people know who I'm talking about. he actually did a really good job. He gained his composure and then used his wrestling to advantage, and like he sort of just suffocated Nate with that Dagestani style. And look, the finish was really, really impressive on his end. It's not too often you'll see Nathan Kelly submitted. So I suppose you just have to give credit where credit's due. But again, I think Nathan Kelly will bounce back from that. I think he is an uber talented Irish prospect.
Yeah, and then also Kenny Mokonoana lost by decision to Ibrahim Ibrahimov.
Yeah, look, Kenny, like, he was basically fighting most of the fight off his back. He did try and throw up some submissions at times, some arm bars and some triangles, and even some chokes. But I think at the end of the day, Ibrahim Ibrahimov is like a top tier prospect. His grappling is absolutely brilliant. I think when we saw the judo throw in the first round, I think that sort of gave us a feel for how the fight was going to go. Big shout out to Kenny. He never gave up throughout the entire fight. He fought right to the death. But Ibrahimov, he's only 20 years old. I think we were trying to guess what age he was last time. I think I said it was like definitely no more than 22. He's only 20. He is someone who the PFL are seriously backing. And again, he's another person from Manchester. So I think PFL should probably have a look at that AO arena at some stage with Dakota, with Ibrahim, and with Brendan Loughnane at some stage.
And then John Mitchell won as well by decision. He was onto us. It looked dodgy in the second round when he was in that guillotine.
Yeah, really, really did. Look, that guillotine looked super tight, but that Cork toughness really prevailed him and didn't tap out and went on to get the win. So great to see John Boy back in the win column under the PFL banner, and I'd love to see a really active 2025 out of him.
Same here. So when
also the man who got Stephen Costello the fights in Eternal MMA, what a guy.
Yeah, and if you haven't noticed, we had Stephen on the show on Thursday before he flew. He actually headed off on Sunday, and today is Monday. That's just a little secret, so keep that to yourself.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. But Ross, that wraps up the PFL Dubai card. Overall, what did you make of the production, and overall, what did you make of the card?
Yeah, it's something like, I suppose I'm just used to the PFL production. I think the walk, I think, could be a bit longer to the cage, if that makes sense.
Well, Paul Hughes' one was quite long.
Yeah, but like that was the main event. You sort of expect it to be a bit longer. But
right.
I feel like you go make yourself a cup of tea and like you miss both walkouts and they're both in the cage ready to rock type of thing. But yeah, I thought like I'm okay with I'm just used to the commentary team at this stage. Dan Hardy, Sean O'Connell. I thought it was cool when they got like Dakota there. For like on the mic, I feel like that's what they should be doing with their stars. I don't remember seeing any like VTs of like someone with like gaming headphones on talking. Like that was something that I enjoyed. And like, yeah, I just feel like overall the production is improving, but I still think it can still improve that little bit more.
Yeah. Actually, Brendan Loughnane was great on the mic as well. I feel like that could be a future career for himself. Then there is just a couple of announcements as well. Fighting out of Fight Academy Ireland, Reese Skeletor McKee is back, Ross. This news broke last night.
It is indeed. Geez, we were sitting on this news, I think, from the 9th of January. So what's that, like over 2 weeks we were sitting on this news. Reese Skeletor McKee is back. He's fighting Daniel Fruenza, who fought on Dana White's Contender Series. He's fighting on the 5th of April over in Las Vegas, live from the Apex. Hopefully it's on one of the earlier prelims, how it won't be too late in the night for us lovely Irish fans. But Skeletor is back, and I expect nothing more than to get the win. I feel like this is a nice stint in terms of training camp for him. He'll have well over the 12 weeks to get himself ready, and I think he's ready for it. I feel like he's been ready like since October last year to try and get a fight, and I feel like this has been a make or break situation for him, and that man loves the added pressure there, And I think he's going to come out and show the best version of Rhys McKee we have ever seen. And I'm sure he was very much inspired being over in Dubai for that Paul Hughes fight.
I think loads of people were like, you know what I mean? Like you could
Big
just
time.
can't. Yeah, it's just like you can't do it. Like I know Irish MMA was sort of slagged off by Khabib, but like it's up to these fighters to really go out and prove themselves and show people that they are the real deal. Like, you know what I mean? Talk is cheap. That's why we do the podcast.
Absolutely.
Then Ross, just before we get into this weekend's action, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship was on over the weekend, and Jeremy Stevens, aka who the fuck is that guy, defeated Eddie Alvarez. Just in the build-up for this, it seemed like everyone wanted Eddie Alvarez to win, but Jeremy Stevens upset the apple cart.
Yeah, well, it was in Philly. Like, it was in Eddie Alvarez's hometown. So, like, I'm not surprised, people. It was, like, being built for him to win. But, look, Jeremy Stevens went in there, a little heathen, got the job done. And him and McGregor had a face-off afterwards. So, who knows if that's the next fight in the card. Who knows what the legalities of that will hold. We'll just have to wait and see. But Jeremy Stevens still doing the damn thing. He must be well over 50 professional fights at this stage. Hopefully that was enough to set Eddie Alvarez off into the sunset.
Yeah, well, who knows? Like these lads love it. Like if you're doing bare knuckle, you absolutely love
the kings of violence.
Yeah. And then Ross, this weekend the UFC is back, bud. It's gone down in Saudi Arabia, and in the main event, Israel Adesanya is taking on Nasruddin Imavov. Ross, Israel Adesanya is back from his time off.
Yeah, I can't wait to see which version of Israel Adesanya we get. I think I would slightly favour him this matchup just because he has that 5-round experience. I think also bringing Robert Whittaker into your camp definitely can't hurt as well. Look, I think obviously he's the bigger star. The UFC would love it. But in terms of actual fights I want to see, the co-main event is where it's at for me. Shara Bullet versus MVP, two of the best and most entertaining strikers you'll see in that welterweight division, except one at welterweight, one at middleweight. This one's up at middleweight. MVP's moving up. I can't wait to see it. I think that is, fight fans' dream right there. That's one that people will be really looking forward to see.
Why do you think MVP's moving up?
I think it's probably the matchup. I don't think it's necessarily a permanent move to middleweight, but I think like him versus Shara Bullet at middleweight is something that I think would excite him.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Then there's also a few other good scraps on the card. Sergey Pavlovich is taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Saeed Nurmagomedov, another Nurmagomedov, but this one isn't actually related to the lads. He's on the card. Ikram Askarov is also on the card. Then Ross, Terence McKenna, who also had a lot of hype, is on this one as well. And then an SBG. What would you say?
Well, who are you talking about?
Jasmine Udavicius. She does train in SBG Ireland, so that's one to watch out for. Well, I wouldn't say
has trained in UFC. Flying visit baz. I wouldn't really go that far.
She was in Ireland before.
She's the one who does like jumps into Joe Rogan's arms after she wins. Except obviously it won't be Joe Rogan.
That's not her. That's not her. That's like the Greek woman.
All right, well,
Mapopolis or something like that. Jasmine Jazdovicius. She has trained in SBG Ireland, so a lot of the SBG Irish.
There you go. Me and Baz, two absolute casuals.
Pure casuals, man. Biggest casuals in the game, they say. Ross, that is that's what people should be looking out for at UFC Saudi Arabia. But also the Fighting Irish are back this week, and the only Irish athlete competing is Ryan Keogh on Hexagon MMA this Saturday as well. So last time out, Ryan was actually defeated on Hexagon, but it was actually overturned due to your man failing a drugs test. Ross,
that's positive for steroids, that fella.
Yeah, he had to go on the steroids to face Ryan Keogh. So Ryan Keogh is looking to go 2-0.
I feel like he's re-debuting on the pro ranks now. He's getting a fair crack at it. And I think, look, Ryan Keogh was really, really good at the amateur scene. He was K Legacy champ. So shout out to Ryan, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, very talented young guy. So let's go Ryan Keogh.
Let's go Ryan Keogh. And then coming up next week, UFC 312 is going down. Drixdu Plessis is taking on Sean Strickland for the second time. And then also we'll be previewing more of Stephen Costello's fight on Eternal and Alan Philpotts. And we will be obviously recapping all the action from the week coming up. Ross, anything else that you want to say before we wrap things up, bud?
No, but if you want to be here for the best Irish MMA coverage in the world, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always, stay energized.
Stay energized.
Jiu-Jitsu by day, Energized Show by night.